Alright, so today I have a brief lecture for you on the different types of supporting material. And the purpose of this lecture has two different goals. The first goal is so that you are able to effectively differentiate between the different types of supporting material. And the second reason for this lecture today is to be able to effectively use supporting material in your upcoming speeches. So you should be able to identify the different types and then be able to effectively use those different types in your upcoming speeches and presentations. Alright, so today I'm going to go over 5 different types of supporting material. The first type are facts. And facts are objective, verifiable information which you can typically find in sources such as encyclopedias and almanacs. Some different types of tips when you're looking for facts is the first thing is to remember that some facts might be common knowledge, but you should cite them anyway. And the reason for this is that because it makes you sound more credible and believable in your speech. One thing you want to do is be able to gain credibility from your audience. And one way that you can do that is by citing your facts. Even if you think they're common knowledge, you should cite them because that really helps you look better and more credible as a speaker. Another tip is to be sure that you're citing reliable sources when you're citing facts. So be sure to find a source that is credible because you don't want to have it come from a biased source. You want to make sure that the source that you're using is level and that you're able to use that for citing your facts. So make sure that it's a credible source. The second type are statistics for supporting material. And statistics are exactly what you think they are. They're numeric facts that include information such as percentages, averages, or amounts of money. And something to make sure when you're going to use statistics is that you should use them sparingly throughout your speech. And one reason you don't want to overuse them is because that if you overload an audience with statistics, you might lose what you're trying to do in your message. So you want to make sure that the statistics that you're using are important and easy to understand. One way to make them easy to understand is by rounding off large numbers. That makes it easier for people to digest and to remember that number. Some different examples for using statistics would be such things as GPA, average salary. For instance, if you were doing a persuasive speech on a salary cap for different athletes, you would probably include the numbers for their average salary that they make, especially when you're trying to make your point about maybe having a salary cap. The other thing that you might use an example for statistics would be deaths. So for example, if you're doing a persuasive speech and the problem in your persuasive speech is that it's causing deaths, that is definitely a statistic that you would want to include and make sure that it's easy to understand. Alright, so moving on to the third type of supporting material is testimony. And testimony is using the words or ideas of another person to support your points. So it's basically a direct quotation. You're going to repeat verbatim what someone has said. And there's 2 different types of testimony that can be used. For this class and for your speeches and presentations, you should always just use expert testimony. Expert testimony is someone who has specialized knowledge or experience and is a recognized authority. So that would be somebody who has done extensive research in some type of area, or maybe they've worked for many years in that field. That would be somebody considered an expert. It could be such things as a professor. And a professor would have a whole bunch of knowledge in the area that they're working and with the research that they're doing. The other type of testimony is lay testimony. And this is something that isn't typically used in speeches. And that's views of people who are not experts. So it's much like the regular person that you meet on a day-to-day basis. So it's just walking knowledge of an idea or of different types of research. That would be lay testimony. Moving on to the fourth type of supporting material that you can use are examples. And examples are illustrations that help make your ideas clearer and engage your audience's interests. And there's 2 different types of examples that you can use. You can use personal examples, which are drawn from your own experience, and this can also help you build credibility because by using personal examples, you're showing that you personally know about that topic. So that would be one way to use an example. Another way is to use actual examples. And those are drawn from real life events. So those are events that you're going to go out to and actually find them. So you might find something in a newspaper where they're talking about something that happened to this person, and that would be considered an example. So they're actual examples that you can draw from real life experiences from people. The final and last type of supporting material that I have for you in this lecture are narratives. And narratives are emotionally appealing to audiences. So they're basically like you're telling stories. They're much like examples, but they're a little bit different because they're usually a little bit longer, and rather than relate incidents, they usually have a clear introduction, body, and conclusion to them. Alright, so today I went over 5 different types of supporting material that you can use in your speeches. Hopefully with this information you're able to draw out the different information that you are finding in sources, and you are able to put them into your speeches.